The inflationary 70s with the energy crisis are back, and according to global investor Ray Dalio, today's times are very similar to them. Who was the winner then? How did each asset class perform in those stagflationary times? What held value? And what lesson can we learn for today's inflationary times and our money? I'll tell you all about it in today's video. As Ray Dalio said, the inflation genie is out of the bottle, and we are in the danger of going back to the 70s. That decade saw energy price shocks, sustained double-digit inflation, and stagnant economy, mortgage rates in the US at 70%, social upheaval, and a huge impact on the population. I am Stano Žák, and in my 12 years of trading precious metals and making YouTube videos, demystifying some popular fallacies and explaining the importance of owning physical precious metals in today's uncertain times. So let's talk about what the 1970s were like and what parallels the experts see with today. By the late 1960s, the US was in its 6th year of unsuccessful war in Vietnam. Already in 1965, French President General Charles de Gaulle, in the famous speech known as Criterion, had pointed out the disadvantageous settlement of international trade surpluses with the US in US dollars and had asked to exchange his dollars for gold. Other European countries did the same, and the pressure to devalue the US dollar and raise it to the then fixed gold price began. Subsequently, in 1966, all French armed forces were removed from the NATO Integrated Military Command, and all non-French NATO forces were asked to leave France. Subsequently, the so-called London Gold Pool, a consortium of the world's 8 largest central banks, which had been tasked with manipulating and intervening to maintain the so-called Bretton Woods system of the world's reserve currency, the American dollar, and the price of gold at $35, all agreed by the great powers before the end of the World War II, collapsed. France withdrew from this gold pool, and its collapse followed in March 1968. This was followed by the efforts to depress the gold price through a 2-tier system of official exchange and open market transactions. In August 1971, in a memorable televised speech, President Richard Nixon is said to have temporarily abolished dollar-gold fungibility, giving an excuse to international speculators and breaking agreements with European partners, leading to the devaluation of the dollar against the gold and the emergence of a bull market in gold. This gave rise to today's system of baseless currencies called fiat money. In 1973, the first oil shock occurred when the Arab countries got angry at US for supplying arms to Israel and raised the price of oil by a factor of 4. Cars in the West Europe and US at the time were parked on the streets and the highways, driving on permits according to end numbers on certain days. Energy was rationed. Industry and stock markets collapsed. States were imposing price and wage restrictions. In Europe, for example, the Netherlands, they banned Sunday car traffic, while in the UK, a 3-way working week was introduced as coal shortages threatened electricity supplies, while a series of winter strikes by miners and railwaymen took place. Households were asked to heat only one room in their houses. Another so-called second oil shock occurred as a result of a 1979 Iranian revolution and a decline in oil production. This was followed by a war between Iran and Iraq, where they destroyed each other's production facilities and infrastructure, and further reduced production and increased prices. People remembered the 1973 shock, and there was a panic buying of gasoline. So it is important to realize how bad things were for individuals and economies as a result of the energy problems. Recent gas problems have raised the prospect of a winter of rationing, but that is a speculation for now. However, the gas price spikes are reminiscent of what happened with the oil in the early 70s, and both have a geopolitical aspects. So some historical awareness is useful. And how did it all play out in the aforementioned 1970s when things calmed down after 1980? In what asset did people not lose the value of their money in the stagflationary era? It wasn't real estate or financial products, surprisingly. The clear winner of the inflationary decade was commodities, the real things we need every day to survive. The absolute winner was oil, with silver coming in second, followed by gold, wheat, nickel, and aluminum. At the bottom were real estate, the price of which, due to the tough economy and a huge mortgage interest rates, did not rise as fast as inflation, and in real terms brought only 1.3% appreciation on an annual basis. The industrial metal copper, which tends to be an indicator of a crisis, lost out, as did the 10-year US Treasury bond, considered an absolute certainty. And at the bottom of the list were equities with a negative real total average annual return of minus 1.4%. For the average investor, physical precious metals were the clear winner, as oil was hard to invest in at the time. The price of gold rose rapidly to $850 in 1980, a 24-fold appreciation in 8 years, and silver skyrocketed to almost $50, which was a 39-fold increase in price. Of course, that's when it led to the buying frenzy and the bursting the price bubble. Because silver prices are not at their highs today, its use in modern technology is many times greater than in the past, and the country's reserves are rapidly depleting. Silver is absolutely undervalued, not only relative to all asset classes, but also to gold. The gold-silver ratio is at 85, which means that gold is 85 times more expensive than silver, one of the highest number in history. And this ratio has reliably indicated throughout history which metal will rise more in the future. Whoever is interested and wants to buy at wholesale prices precious metals with many unique services from the award-winning German company Avesta, I am here with my team. You can find out more in the videos on my YouTube channel. So subscribe to the videos so you don't miss anything important and essential. If you like this video, please like and share it so more people can learn about this important information. Have a great time, and remember what was 50 years ago. It's time for gold and silver.